31st चौपाई। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। जानकी माता bestowed on you the boon that you may grant 8 siddhis and 9 forms of wealth to anyone you wish to. When Sri Hanuman went to Lanka to meet Mother Sita, and gave her the news of Lord Rama and sang Rama's glories, Ma Sita's joy knew no bounds. She immediately blessed Sri Hanuman, saying, "You will be the giver of the 8-fold supernatural powers of yogis, Ashtasiddhi, and the 9 kinds of wealth of Kubera, Navanidhi." Let us go through the 8 siddhis one by one. Anima, first one. The power to assume a very small form like an atomic particle, or to become so subtle that one can pervade even the smallest particle in the universe. Let us hear to what Sundar shares on this and then move further from there. This has been given in one of the sessions earlier. Let us revisit the same. Brother Sundar asks Swami once, "Swami, how to control and eradicate this ahankara?" And then Swami asks, "Where do you live?" And one by one, the sequence follows. Swami keeps on asking. When Sundar says, "I live in Villeparle," oh, Villeparle is where from there the series starts. Villeparle in Mumbai, Mumbai in Maharashtra, Maharashtra in India, India in Asia, Asia in a subcontinent, like that. Swami reaches up to the solar system and 7 planets, and he says, then Swami comes down. In the solar system, 7 planets, and in that one planet Earth, in Earth 7 continents, in 7 continents Asia is one continent, and in that one country, in that one state Maharashtra, in that one city Mumbai, and in that Villeparle a place, in that one apartment, and in that apartment few people are there, and you are one of them. So Swami asks, if this be the case, when you are a zero, you are nothing. When we move from the solar system up to that apartment, in that society, where is the space for ahankara in any case? While this is Swami's answer for ahankara, this also throws up one subtler revelation. starting from the grosser creation to our BMI, and still subtler to our BMI, subtler than the subtlest, exists our pure self, Anor Aniya, subtler than the subtlest. Anima here reducing to the size of atomic particle reflects the subtler truth, even subtler than the atom, our pure self, Atman. And in a way it has a connectivity with Ahankara, which Swami answered. When the Ahankara I is reduced to zero, then and then only the subtler than the atom, the real I is revealed. In this one Siddhi, Anima, subtler than the subtlest, the secret of purpose of human birth, the eradication of ego, becoming smallest at BMI level, and rising beyond the time-space to exist as self. Second Siddhi, Mahima. These are all couplets like Mahima is the opposite of Anima. Mahima is expanding one's body to an infinitely large size. We all know how Sri Hanuman took a gigantic form and burnt down Lanka. The sequence is not Mahima and then Anima. It is Anima and then only Mahima. Only and only when the BMI identity gets to Anima, to oblivion, to nothing, the self is revealed as the mightiest, Mahato Mahiya, mightier than the mightiest. Our ego must die for the spirit to shine. The wave must die its death to merge and exist as the ever-expansive, infinite ocean, nay, water. At a worldly level, Sundar explains how Anima results in Mahima. He says, at the worldly level, only humility will give birth to self-confidence. From selfless service without ego, with humility, one evolves into the grand Mahima self-inquiry. Sundar and two more boys are searching for something in Swami's room with a torchlight not to disturb Swami. And he says, in those yesteryears, half of that Swami's small kutir up on the first floor of the bhajan hall, more than half of it used to be storehouse containing various gifts, various books, various things which Swami had to give away to devotees. While they are searching with small torchlight, Swami comes and Swami switches on the main light. And Swami just says a line and walks away. He says, "Hey, Donnapoto, what you are doing with your small torchlight?" In your small torchlight, if you see one side, the other side you cannot see. See with Swami's light. And Swami walks away. Our torch is our limited knowledge, our limited intellect. His light, the self Jagat Ujjiyara. Our torch has to become subtler anima for his high self to shine Mahima. Then comes Garima, becoming infinitely heavier. It goes like this. Once the mighty warrior Bhima of Mahabharata fame was walking in the forest. He encountered Sri Hanuman lying on the side of the path with his long tail across the path. We all know this story. So, Bhima commands Hanuman to move away. He says, I am very old, why don't you lift my tail and remove it? And Bhima tries and he fails. This was when he realized that this was no ordinary monkey and prostrated before him in humility. Here, Sri Hanuman displayed the Garima Siddhi, becoming heavier. This is as far as the story is concerned. Getting subtler, the heaviness, the strength is our core values, our core philosophy, our Swadharma. What is my strongest, heaviest point, which is acting as an anchor, holding me down? Asks Sundar. My strongest point, now he is answering to Sundar's question. The strongest point to go deep into myself, to arrive at my innermost strength, Garima. The heaviest innermost strength is my identity as the true self, Atman, and lead my life accordingly. Opposite of Garima is Laghima, becoming almost weightless. The power to become light like a feather. When Hanuman was in Lanka, when he landed, he was a huge, taller than the tallest palace, but still he became so light. He was able to jump lightly from rooftop to rooftop without crushing the buildings. This is due to his Laghima Siddhi. And what it is to be weightless in our sadhana. To be weightless in sadhana is to be detached, to develop vairagya, to develop dispassion within. Like Hanuman jumped from rooftop to rooftop, one levitates in sadhana if one is enriched with detachment. Your detachment makes you feather-like. You fly higher and higher and higher. The levitation here is the levitation from desires, from wants, from attachment, from avidya. When I exist as self, all luggage carried by me for several births, my ego, my vasanas, my avidya, all get dropped on their own. I fly in air, I dance without legs, as the one with no weight, no luggage of my ego. No matter, only spirit. The spirit has no volume, no weight. Next siddhi is prapti. Prapti is obtaining anything that is desired, or the ability to go anywhere in the three worlds, unrestricted access in space. Prapti. We all know how Hanuman goes to the other world to rescue Rama and then Lakshmana when it was required. And coming to anything, obtaining anything that is desired, if there is any desire left out after the Purna Prapti, the fulfillment of my life's purpose, abiding in self, then maybe that desire will also get fulfilled. If at all I am still left with any desire. Unrestricted access in space, Anantam. Anantam. Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Rahita. Not restricted by Desha, space, Kala, time, Vastu, object. Next siddhi is Prakamya or Prakashya. All wishes are fulfilled when one attains the highest state and exists as self. Again, an extension of the desire explained in the earlier siddhi. At that state, one can only say that all my desires are fulfilled because, as he explained in an earlier chopai, if at all there is any one single desire that is left unfulfilled, it has to manifest within me. Since there is no desire manifesting in me at all, it is as though all the desires of all the worlds are fulfilled at once. Aur manorat jo koi lave. And if we take this siddhi as prakashyam, it would mean to have a self-illuminating, shining body. In the invocatory shloka of Sundarakanda, Hanumanji's body is described as shining as a mountain of gold. And here, with reference to the ultimate attainment, Prakashyam is what, self-illumining is what, Jagat Ujiyara. On this one aspect of awareness or illuminating, there has been non-stop, never-ending force flowing ever since the Jagat Ujiyara was taken up in the Hanuman Chalisa talk. Never-ending force on this self-illumining is flowing, pure awareness is flowing to few sadhakas from the source. Next siddhi is Ishatva, lordship, possessing absolute lordship, the power to rule over all the worlds. Hanumanji rules over everybody's hearts by his good deeds and character, and not by his mighty power. Swami Shivananda sings, In the context of lordship, I am emperor of emperors, Shahenshah of Shahenshah. This is the state of a seer who is endowed with Mahima, Laghima, Prapti and Prakash. No matter whether he lives in a king's palace or in a chawl with hardly place to move around within a single room, the lordship is within, not without. Next is Vashatva. Okay. What is this? Okay, Ishatvam then Vashat. The power to subjugate all, the power to control everybody. Hanuman's magnetic personality makes everyone love him and obey him. In Tamil, we call it as Vashikaram. Okay, Vashatva. And in the context of sadhana, Vashatva is control of my BMI, control of my vasanas, control of my avidya, keeping all this under my Vashatva. When you have mastered this, you attain a lordship, Ishatva. Then you no more exist as a human being with BMI, but you exist as emperor of emperors, Ishatva. How beautifully each siddhi gets correlated and aligned with the other siddhi which follows. How beautiful. Without having to control others, when a Jivan Mukta walks, others are blessed in his presence. He is able to intuitively know others' thoughts, others' sadhana levels, others' mind at a broader level. As he exists as consciousness which pervades, envelops the entire creation and including all existing in the creation, including all those who are there around him when he passes by. The 9 nidhis, treasures, belong to Kubera, the god of wealth. The greatest wealth which overpowers all the Navanidhi is Hanuman's love for Lord Rama, Ramaras. There was a Samarkand bhajan. The essence was what? Ram naam recipiyo manuva sai naam recipe. You remember? Even the old time devotees would have forgotten this bhajan. Because except him, nobody sang this bhajan ever. Now we move on to the 9 nidhis. First is Padma, lotus. Padma Nidhi in this the qualities of Satvikta is developed. Lotus, as we know, rises few inches above the water level and remains untouched by water. This quality which Hanuman can bestow on us if we are really humble and really truthful in our sadhana, where this Nidhi symbolizes tenderness, love, kindness, selflessness, the first of the 9 treasures. Next is Mahapadmanidhi, bigger lotus. The bigger lotus means when the creation at large is involved, where one goes out to serve the world at large, like Jesus, like any realized master. Incarnations are above board. Their very mission is to serve the humanity. Paritranaya sadhuna. He's talking about masters. When Mahapadmanidhi, bigger, vast, expansive, dedicating our life to a larger cause. Then comes Shankanidhi, conch. Beauty of the Shank is its hollowness for the Lord, for the music, for the sound to enter it. Be an instrument, be hollow for the Lord's thoughts, teachings to flow through you and reach others. Next is Makara, crocodile. Crocodile represents fearlessness. It crawls and crawls and crawls on sand unsteadily till it reaches the water, and then how beautifully it almost glides like the flight glides on the higher space. It glides so smoothly, fearlessness. Like that, we are unsteady, we are uncertain till the time our sadhana reaches a mature level. Afterwards, what he taught to all the sadhakas in yesteryears, total fearlessness is total realization. Next Nidhi is Kachapa, tortoise. Tortoise signifies the state of samadhi. It signifies for sadhakas to the ability to withdraw ourselves into a shell and be there in that state for longer hours in samadhi. Next Nidhi is Mukunda, liberator. Liberating from grosser desires, grosser habits, grosser attachment, ultimately liberating from ego, from avidya, from this bhavasagar, from this cycle of birth and death. Next is Kunda, jasmine, represents fragrance, feeling and experiencing the fragrance of higher consciousness. In bhajans, in deep meditation, mystically, how many times we have felt the fragrance of flower, of jasmine, beautiful fragrance. This fragrance represents evolving to higher consciousness. Next Nidhi is Neela, sapphire, dark blue. This represents twilight, sky dark bluish. Few hours before the sunrise. Some minutes, 45 minutes it's got before the sunrise. God bestows us the power in this Nidhi. He bestows us the power to draw within the depth of the twilight, and this grace is symbolized by dark blue, Neela. The last of Nidhi is Karva, dwarfed. Sundar expresses this as that small, dwarfed, small opening of the third eye, the small opening into the discovery of this self, the small subjective experience which in turns gives us huge, expansive, unlimited treasure in terms of abidance in self. That was about the 8 siddhis and 9 nidhis. And what is the significance of the second line in the Chaupai? Asbar deen Janaki Mata. Swami Vivekananda has talked elaborately about Sita. Very few philosophers have talked about Ma Sita, whereas hundreds have talked about Lord Rama. The sage says a bhakta should be like Sita before Rama. He might be thrown into all kinds of difficulties. Sita did not mind her sufferings. She centered herself in Rama, the source. Rama and Sita are the ideals of our nation. All children, especially girls, worship Sita. The height of a woman's ambition is to be like Sita, the pure, the devoted. When you study such characters, you can at once find how different is the ideal of Bharat from the West. West says, show your power by doing. Bharat says, show your power by sacrifice, like Ma Sita. Sita is unique. The character was depicted once and for all. There might have been a few Ramas, but never more than one Sita. What to speak of Sita, the sage says, you may exhaust the literature of the world that is past, and I may assure you that you will have to exhaust the literature of the world of the future before finding another Sita. In the Valmiki Ramayana, Sita is described thus. Nobody can describe her greatness and glories in words, not even the Lord of Lords, Rama himself. Even the empire of all the three worlds, the entire creation cannot match a single kala of Ma Sita, which are infinite in numbers. Now coming to Hanuman, and then let us link why and how Sita bestows the Ashtasiddhi and Navanidhi to Hanuman. Hanuman crosses all obstacles, innumerable obstacles, and reaches the city of Lanka. Even after his eventful jump of 100 yojanas, Hanuman does not feel slightly tired because his heart was filled with love for Lord Rama, and his body, mind, and intellect were focused on his service to Rama. Bhakti is never tiring. In bhakti, in our selfless devotion, love for Lord, there is no possibility of boredom or exhaustion. Despite humorous difficulties, Hanuman found Sita Devi and consoled her. And what happens then? Sita blesses Hanuman, and as we went through in the first ever hymn in Shri Guru Charana, Bharanau Raghubar Bimaladasi, It was Sita who addressed Hanuman as son for the first time. And she was the one to accept him as Raghuvara, though may not be Raghukula, but Raghuvara. This is explained in the Shri Guru Charan. And as the Mother Earth, as the Mother, Supreme Mother, compassionate, she blesses her son Raghubara with Ashtasiddhi and Navanidhi. Contrary to our expectation that he was Ramadasa, he was Ramabhakta, he was Ramaduta, and it was Rama who should have given everything. But here, the Supreme Mother, it is said, it is described in Ramayana that the compassion of Mother Sita is even more than Sri Rama's compassion. She was compassionate even to all the Asuras in Lanka, where she was captured and kept in the Ashoka Vana. There is no character in any Purana, any Itihasa as compassionate as Ma Janaki. Asubaradina Janaki Mata. So, not Rama, it is Janaki Mata who bestows all the siddhis and nidhis to Hanuman and also blesses Hanuman that he can in turn bless any deserving bhakta with these siddhis and nidhis. Glory to Mother Sita. Today's Chaupai is dedicated to Janaki Mata, even more than Hanumanji himself. In the bhajan, we have not sung Rama Rakshaka Anjaneya. What do we sing? Sita Rakshaka Anjaneya. It is both ways. He finds Mother Sita and he acts as an instrument for Rama and Sita to unite. And Sita blesses Rama. Sita protects Hanuman by bestowing on him Ashtasiddhi and Navanidhi. Glory to Mother Sita. Let God Almighty fill all of us with the heart of Ma Sita, the compassion of Ma Sita. Today's Chaupai starts and ends with Sita. Siya Hare Ramachandra ki jai. Ma Janaki Mata ki jai.